Hi guys, and welcome to the 12th episode of Team Talk. Today I'm joined again by Sam.
Hello everyone.
Good stuff. We don't have Frim this week, but we'll be back hopefully more often in most of the podcasts coming up. So today we're going to be discussing sort of the man of the moment, Sergio Aguero, someone who's obviously been a fantastic player in the Premier League. But as we know, his time at Manchester City is coming to an end. So we just thought it'd be interesting to sort of discuss just his career in the Premier League in general, and also potentially where he could go next and what Man City will do next after his departure. So obviously starting off, he's now 32. He joined Manchester City in 2011 for about 38 million, which, to be fair, at that point, 38 million was quite a hefty fee. Like, I feel like 38 million back then was almost like the equivalent to like the 80 million sort of pound player that you had back then. And obviously, since he's been at Man City, they've won 4 Premier Leagues. And he's just, and to be fair, he has been their greatest ever player. And I think that's been, I don't know if I'm right, but I'm pretty sure they said they're going to build their first ever statue outside their stadium for him.
They're gonna build a statue for him, I think.
Yeah, which I think is pretty fairly deserved. So, first of all, sort of to go into the current situation. I was looking at some of Aguero's stats, and to be fair to him, they are ridiculously impressive. But in the 10 seasons that he's been in the Premier League with Man City, before this season, his lowest goals tally was 12. And he managed to score 20 goals or more in 6 out of those 10 seasons, which is ridiculous. Consistency, anyway. But this season, he's only scored 1 goal. And to be fair, even when watching him play, he hasn't looked like the same player. Like, I know everyone says he's been injured a lot, but even like when I've watched him play, I wouldn't even say I've been that impressed with him, or he doesn't look like the same level of player. I don't know what you thought when you've watched him play just this season, really, and maybe last season as well. But even then, last season, I think he still scored like 17 goals. So
yeah, I think he's had 2 big injuries, hasn't he? And he's sort of, they tried to get him back because they've got Jesus, who's also been injured this season. So I think, in a way, he's sort of been rushed back a little bit, and I think that's obviously impacted him. And then obviously seeing the way City playing at the moment, I think it's maybe impacted him as well, because that everyone's thought they're going to need that out and out striker on that number 9, and it's just proven that they don't need that at the moment. So it could potentially have impacted his confidence.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, obviously we don't know what he's like as a person, but I do agree that it can be quite sort of disheartening when, for the sort of the last 10 years, it's always been you who everyone's looked at as the player to drag you through every moment.
Yeah.
And that's obviously not the case anymore, as there's so many players like that, like especially De Bruyne being the sort of the new face of the team. I do think that maybe, like, you're right, he maybe is not even really needed anymore, and I think that's why they've opted to sort of let him go. But I do think that he's got that sort of technical ability to still be able to play in like Man City system. I just think he's getting to that point where I don't think his body is able to sort of maintain that sort of level that City need him to be at, whilst also, I don't know, and maybe this is harsh, but it seems like he's the sort of person who's maybe losing a bit of that determination that like you need to sort of keep going when you get to this sort of age. Like, I know you just look at someone like Ronaldo, he still turns up every day for training as if it's like he's 19 and he's got to earn his way into the first team. Whereas I look at someone like Aguero and I feel like maybe his mindset is more that someone who just wants to turn up for a match and start every game no matter what, which obviously isn't going to happen anymore for City, and that's maybe why they've tried to sort of wane him wane off of him a little bit, and maybe and I feel like it's only the right decision really, because I'm sure he's probably asking for 200,000 plus a week, and the way he's currently playing, I don't think although his name does warrant it, does deserve it, I don't think he is currently playing like a player who deserves that sort of like weekly wage. And I think the only reason potentially why they haven't maybe even thought about going for someone sooner is because, or getting rid of him sooner is because I think Jesus is so sort of hit and miss. I feel like you've got Jesus who has all the work rate that maybe Aguero doesn't have. He'll do whatever he can for the team that maybe Aguero doesn't have. He's very selfless and is happy to pass it and set up someone like Aguero isn't. But when it comes to putting a chance away, I can't even remember how many sitters Aguero might have missed, because I feel like I just always have 100% confidence that he's going to score whenever he gets a chance. Whereas Jesus is always sort of underperforming on his like expected goals because he's finishing is sort of a bit hit and miss. So I think that's why they try to keep Aguero in there just for till the end of his contract, so they can just at least know they've got that figure in there who, when he's fit, he can finish those chances.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I've seen it here. He said, like you said, he's played 360 games.
Yeah.
And he scored 237 goals and 58 assists. So that's a ridiculous stat.
It's quite impressive as well, because I know that for someone who's quite like greedy as well, I feel like when it comes to like sort of ridiculous rate. I mean, obviously he's one of those players, I will say, has never really had like, there's never really been a point he's had to do everything on his own. Like, do you know how like you look at Kane now this season? I feel like Man City have always been like a dominating side and have been able to have loads of chances without really having to do too much. Not that takes away from him as such, but it's more the fact that he's never had like a difficult season where the team's underperforming around him as such. But obviously he is definitely going, and I think for him personally, I still definitely think he's got another big move in the tank. I don't necessarily know who he'd go to, because I don't think it's a risk anyone should be wanting to take with his injury record of recent seasons. So as much as I'd love the thought, it'd end up being a waste and he'd be injured all season, so there'd be no point.
Yeah, no.
Does anyone else do you think he's likely to go to?
I personally think he'll go somewhere. I was going to say, just like you're saying about the injuries. So most of them, like recently, they've sort of been like muscle injury. Like he's had a hamstring injury, he's had a thigh muscle strain, another muscle injury, another thigh problem. So it seems that his muscles are sort of not as obviously strong as that. As what they were before. Just looking at most of them, that's what they really are. He's had a knee injury which kept him out for a little bit. Also another knee injury which took him out for 115 days. So that's what it seems to be. Is it cost him to have 17 games missed? So I can see where your point is about risking someone with quite a big injury sort of history. But I personally think he will go Barcelona.
I think that's sort of the signing that they will want to make. It's quite a big name, but it's also I know it's like the whole thing. Why would you do it? But it's the whole, maybe we can keep Messi if we please him by bringing him.
To keep him happy. And I think I saw saying Messi was, and I don't know if it's true, but he was sort of saying he's going to have a couple more seasons in Barca and then he's looking to go to America. So I think if they bring in Aguero where he's 31, keep him happy. I think Messi's on the verge of signing a new contract anyway. So that would definitely probably most likely put the pen to the paper there. And then you've got, obviously, I reckon then potentially get rid of Griezmann, but Griezmann wants to stay. but then you've got Griezmann, Messi, and Aguero. And arguably, that's a very, very, very good front three.
I think it's like you said. I think maybe what they can potentially be smart and do is you have Aguero, Messi, Griezmann, and like you said, if they play into the hands of Messi, we've got Messi for another 2 seasons, let's say, then they can work on people like Trincao, Pedri. I'm not sure who else they've got. Ansu Fati, and then by the time Messi then leaves and Aguero leaves at the same time, and potentially even Griezmann as well, those 3 will all be like in their like early 20s, and they'll be able to sort of take on that burden potentially with like another new signing.
Yeah, you got Ousmane Dembele as well.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe dragging out Messi and Aguero to sort of get the absolute most out of them might bring, like, it might be able to join up those 2 periods rather than having an awkward gap in the middle.
It could create a new era.
Yeah, exactly, and obviously it'd be good for the others to be able to look up to like Aguero and Messi. I know they had Suarez before, but obviously Aguero's a few years younger than Suarez, so and also with the rotation at Barcelona, same as Man City, you might not have to play constantly, so like he might be able to sort of slowly recover from the injuries. Yeah. And it's not as intense in La Liga as well, so he won't have to run around as much.
But no, then you also got obviously potentially go back to Atletico, PSG. I think he will go to someone big, a big name still in Europe, like in the top 5 leagues. I think he'll stay in Europe, but I don't think.
I just think he wants big money, so it can't be anyone. But then it's like that's why it's perfect for Barca because they don't have to pay a transfer fee. Like same, I think I would say like PSG, but I just feel like I don't know, like they're a bit of a weird one because they've got like Icardi, Mbappe, Neymar. So really, although he should be starting in that sense ahead of Icardi, you do think, is it really worth PSG getting him, and is that's what he's going to want? Whereas I feel like at Barca, he probably would just go in and start straight away. So I think Barcelona is definitely his best option, but it'd be interesting to see whether they can actually afford him, or whether they just maybe try and dodge the potential bullet that it might end up being if he does just turn up and ends up being injured constantly. I think that's almost why I don't want Arsenal to risk it, because I know it'll be just Arsenal's luck that he will play like 2 games next season. We'll end up paying him like 400k a week for like 2 games or something stupid. So yeah, and then I guess finally, obviously we have Aguero, who obviously over the course of his career, you could regard him, if you wanted to, as the best sort of striker ever in the Premier League. But he's definitely in probably the top 5, if for anyone anyway. So the question is now, who then should Man City be looking to get to sort of replace his place as such in the squad?
So for me, it's between 2 players.
Yeah.
And that's Haaland and Kane.
I had those 2 names written down as well.
So for me, and there's like a justified reason why I'd say this. For me, I would go for Kane.
Yep.
Only reason why, see, Haaland is a monster. He's probably one of the best. Like I said, everyone's rating him and Mbappe become the best players in the very near future. But I think Haaland's still developing at the moment. Yes, he's done it in the Champions League and he's shown he can do it in the Champions League, but he's doing it in the Bundesliga at the moment. Whereas you've got Kane, who's proven that he can do it in the Premier League week in, week out.
Yep.
And in Europe as well. So for me, if you're with City, I would give Kane a 3-year contract. Say he's 28, 29 now. Give him a 3-year contract. Say to give him to like 31, 32.
I think he's still 27.
Is he still 27?
Yeah.
Well, he's a bit older.
I think he's turning 28 soon, during the Euros. But anyway, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. 27. So you're right. So yeah, when he comes, so give him a 3-year contract. Even better. So 30 then. Then by that time, Haaland would probably go for someone big. Hopefully he won't go Chelsea, because Chelsea obviously got the money. But maybe go someone like, I don't know, I can't think of a. He talks to him going Barca at the minute, but I don't think that will happen. Say if he goes to a bigger club, gets more experience, and then once Kane's had his 3 years, then bring Haaland in, because he's gonna obviously he's probably gonna be higher in value, but City have got all the money in the world to spend who they want to spend on,
Yeah.
and I think you need to keep them at obviously how they are at the moment, keep dominating each team and stuff like that. Kane would probably be the best option at the moment.
See, I 1,000% agree with you, because Kane not only scores, he gets assists, he's holds up the ball, he's a threat in terms of people want to mark him. He can get a shot away out of nothing. Like, he, in my opinion, is the best player in the league, and if he goes to Man City, then the league's going to be done for another few seasons because no one else is going to get close to him. But I know Pep said recently that they're not going to be able to make any signings. I mean, that's obviously waffle because it's Man City. They're definitely going to be able to make some signings. But he did. I think he was a bit surprised by everyone saying that they were going to be buying Haaland or Kane for like 120 million.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I mean, when I think about it, I almost have a feeling that Man City might try and go for someone a bit low key, rather than someone for Kane or Haaland's value. Like, they might, maybe like Joe people suggesting like Danny Ings.
Yeah.
Like, I think because we've seen this season, Aguero's not even played, and they've still been amazing. I think what they need to do is they need to find someone who can just sort of fit in a system, but is that clinical type finisher. And I know that's potentially going to cost a lot of money, but someone like Danny Ings might be sort of a better answer for them for the time being, because it's like that thing of, they've got, if they sign Kane, they'd win the league, yeah, but they're going to win the league now anyway. They might even win the Champions League without signing Kane. It's like, when you could spend 50 million on someone who is maybe not Danny Ings in that sense, you're spending 50, but someone who's maybe not at Kane's level, but has the potential to get to Kane's level. As I don't know, I feel like with Jesus, he's a good player, but I don't think he's ever going to be as good as Man City thought he was going to be. So
This has got knock his confidence so much, though. Do you think obviously he's done well like recently?
yeah,
He's scoring a lot. Like Ian Atro, they've both just turned up, and I think that it must knock his confidence so much that now Aguero's going, this could be his time to shine, and everyone's going, right, who are you going to bring instead now? No one's sort of saying, right, this is Jesus' time. Everyone's just sort of going straight into, let's bring in Kane, Haaland and stuff like that.
yeah.
Even saying like Danny Ings is a quality player, but they're even saying to bring Danny Ings over Jesus, which I think it's probably damaging for him.
I feel bad for him in that sense. I do agree. I think even if Jesus is going to start every game next season, they still need to bring in another striker because it's Man City, and Danny Ings might even end up being the backup. So I think that also I'd feel bad for him in the sense of, like, they went out and bought Kane for 120 mil, because then it's that thing of, he's like, well, I've just had to sit behind Aguero, finally get a few games last season, and now it's like I've got to sit behind this guy. But I just feel like he's had this season to really sort of blossom. And you think about, like I said, Aguero, I think he had one season where he got less than 15 one season he got less than 15 goals before this one, which is like stupid. And yet I don't think Jesus has ever got anywhere near. And this season was like I feel like his opportunity. So if he got over 15 quite like nicely, then you can go, yeah, fair enough. We don't need a big guy. We just need to sign someone who can come in and play up front when we need him. But I think in their heads they're thinking, like, Gundogan isn't going to score like 12 goals in the league next season again, probably. Like, De Bruyne's going to be a year older. Like, you can't always rely on, like, Mahrez again. He's going to be 31 next year. You can't rely on all these players to be excellent again every season when potentially they're overperforming a little bit. So I do think they need to go for someone big, but it's just whether they try and just get another little gap filler, in the sense of, like, someone like a Ferran Torres, who's a good player, like a really good player, but it's not like your superstar name. But I don't know. I suppose with Man City, like you said, it's almost like playing career mode. It's probably going to be Kane, but it's just whether they can get him from Tottenham or not.
I hope it is. Get him away from Tottenham.
I do think, right, it's weird because they'll have a lot of money to spend, but if, say, Kane leaves and Mourinho stays, I almost wonder whether that they could end up crumbling and never being back in the top six again, because obviously they've been so bad this season, and that's with a lot of good players like Ndombele, Højbjerg, Reguilon, Alderweireld. You can't tell me they're not good players. It's just they've all been poor this season. And if Kane wasn't there, they'd be so far down the pecking order. And do you trust? If I was a Spurs fan, I wouldn't trust Mourinho to make good signings with 120 million. So I'd love it if Kane left, but we'll have to wait and see how that develops in the summer. I think.
Oh God, sorry.
No, I was literally just going to say that I don't think they'd be able to get him, because I just think Tottenham would ask for like 190 million or something, which obviously is not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. Not, but they could also follow like the Argentinian sort of train. They can go for potentially like Martinez from Inter Milan.
Yeah, and Inter Milan need money as well.
So that could be another. I think this season he's got scoring 14 goals in 21 starts in the Serie A this season, and he's only 23. That's a very, very good stat and a very good player that it could potentially. I think he's getting 1.5 take-ons per game as well. So
he's a great player.
Yeah, no, I think he could be a good player to sign.
I do think it'd be just out of complete off topic before we end up the video. I do think it'd be quite cool for Inter Milan if they could keep some of their good players and see if they can sort of develop and have a good run at the Champions League next season. Because I feel like it's quite nice sometimes when a team comes out of nowhere and a lot of good players all develop well at once, and then you want to kind of see them, like it's like with the Ajax team, you almost wanted to see them have another go at the Champions League with like De Ligt, De Jong, Van der Beek and all that all together, but probably won't happen as that's not how football works.
Don't know.
Anyway,
Dortmund potentially could do it.
Again,
I feel like they got Haaland, Sancho, Bellingham.
I think Bellingham obviously won't leave, but I just feel like they're always they're one bid away from Sancho and Haaland both going. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's been that for this video. So anyway, please like and subscribe, and tell anyone else who's interested in football to check out the podcast. It's been nice chatting to you, Sam, and I'll see you all later.
Thank you very much. See you later.
Bye.
Ciao.